Hey, welcome to the Nurse Scientist channel. I'm Will Martin, and I got a question from a commenter, and I'm going to try to answer it right now. The question is, why did I get a DNP and a PhD? Which order did I get them in? And what were my thought processes behind them? So I'm going to try to answer these as honestly as I can, and I'll warn you that my answers may not be what you would expect, and I would bet that my answers are not going to match why you would get either a DNP or a PhD or both. So here it goes. So I graduated in 1996 with a master's degree. At that point, that was it. The only other doctoral degrees that were really out there in the landscape were the PhD, and there were some people running around with an ND, a nursing doctor, and there were a few people with DNSs, the Doctor of Nursing Science. I wasn't interested in those. The PhD always intrigued me because I'd like to have PhD after my name, but the amount of work that went into a PhD program, I figured I could probably never finish that. I'd never be able to write the papers. I wrote enough papers in graduate school, there's just no way. So I put it out of my mind. And then as the years go on and you're practicing and you're starting to notice in the literature that more and more they're talking about the DNP as the degree that might replace the master's degree. And you start noticing a lot of schools starting to adopt the DNP. And so honestly, I thought, I don't want to have graduates coming out of school with no experience, but they have a DNP. Would I be competitive against them not having a doctoral degree? At that point, I had been out of school for a while, and I thought, okay, maybe this is an opportunity to go back to school, kind of get back in the swing of writing and reading and all of that. So that's what I did. I enrolled in a DNP program. It was a great experience. It was very clinically based. It offered a lot of really good coursework in genetics and genomics and proteomics, very science-based, and I enjoyed it. When I graduated, I figured, okay, I'm done. I've got my DNP. Then I noticed, and that was in 2011 when I graduated. So between 2011 and I'm going to say 2016, I was just noticing that the DNP wasn't taking off as quickly as I think a lot of people anticipated. There was just no recognition, no name recognition. I mean, if I put DNP after my name, nobody knew what that was. And that's a big thing. I mean, if you're trying to compete, or if you think someday you're going to compete for a job somewhere, whether it be in academics or administration or private sector, wherever, not having a degree that people recognize can be a handicap. So I thought about it. I looked around for programs, and I found a program that would bridge me from DNP to PhD relatively easily. It was 36 credit hours on top of my DNP, which was, that was 45 credit hours. So I was able to get another scholarship for the PhD. So I decided, all right, let's go get the PhD. And I have to say that after getting the PhD, I'm a much better writer, I'm a much better reader. I now have the tools that I didn't quite get in the DNP program about how to conduct research independently, how to critically analyze published research. So I now have a little bit more tools in the toolbox than what I had before. So it's worth it. But it also is now a recognizable degree, and that makes a difference if you're going to compete with someone. Now, am I going to compete with anybody for anything in particular? No, I don't have any concrete plans, to be honest. I mean, I'm a practicing NP, and I'm probably going to stay a practicing NP for several more years. But if an opportunity came along, who knows? I mean, you want to have the right fit in order to get that job. And this is something that I've told people, that you don't know what awaits you. You don't know what's out there. But when you get the degree, for example, all of a sudden doors start to open that you didn't even know existed. And that's probably the most important thing that I can tell anybody that's thinking about advancing their education, is that if you get the degree, all of a sudden doors will start to open that you didn't know were there. And it gives you options. You can say no, and you can just stay right where you are, and that's fine. or you can start to probe into other areas. And, I think for a lot of people like to stay in one spot, and I respect that. I think those of us that work in emergency medicine probably have attention deficit disorder at baseline, and I think that's probably what we need in order to work in the emergency department. And so, yeah, I want to do something different. I want to have my finger in, 3 or 4 different pies, and that's possible when you have the qualifications, at least on paper. My thought processes for getting a DNP were, at the time, to have a doctorate, to be competitive with newly graduating NPs who would have a DNP after their name. Kind of a lame excuse in a way, but again, I'm trying to keep myself competitive. Then the DNP doesn't really work out. Doesn't turn out to be as big of a deal. And the other thing, let me mention this, that the DNP originally, as I understood it, was going to be a clinical doctoral degree. And so it was going to be afforded to practicing clinicians. But the DNP started to morph, and now you had administrators getting their DNP and just non-clinical people getting a DNP. So the meaning of the DNP just scattered and became very blurred, and that really bothered me. But anyway, I think the thing is that as I got a little bit older and I got a little more confident in my ability, I knew that I could go into a PhD program and complete it. It's not to say that I didn't go in there and learn a ton about writing, because I did. And I have to tell you, anyone that is thinking about a PhD program, your writing skills will improve. They have to improve, because your writing has to be impeccable. Particularly if you're in a PhD program in the humanities, where you're going to do that kind of writing. Your writing has to be good, and it will be good. You'll get it good through that program. So probably not as impressive a reason as to why I got a DNP or a PhD as maybe some other people. I did not have a huge desire to teach on a faculty. And in fact, a lot of the people that were in the PhD program with me were faculty members, and their universities were requiring them to get the PhD, and they were paying for it. So a lot of those folks they wanted to continue teaching. They wanted to keep their job, and they had to have a PhD. I think I was probably the only non-educator in the cohort, which they probably sat around saying, why is he in this program? He's not teaching, he doesn't want to teach, but he's getting a PhD in nursing education. What's that all about? Well, you know what? It's going to pay off someday. Maybe it'll pay off here in YouTube, who knows? But I hope that at least begins to answer the question that you have. And please, if people have questions about advancing their education, if they have questions about, should I go into nursing, should I go into healthcare, should I become a nurse practitioner, anything like that, please put them in the comments. I'm going to try to answer everybody's questions as best I can. So I'm going to get back to doing a little bagpipe practicing here right now. It's a very cold and snowy day here in upstate New York right now, and the St. Patrick's Parade is taking place as we speak right now. Now, normally I would be in the St. Patrick's Parade with my bagpipe band, but COVID kind of shut everything down, and then I just decided to take a year off from it. And I'm kind of glad I did, because it's pretty cold and snowy out there right now. And I've marched in the cold and the snow, believe me, and I'm not missing it right now. But who knows? Maybe next year. Maybe next year I'll get the spark back and I'll be ready to go and play again. So, all right. Good talking to everybody, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.